Summer break is over, Formula 1 is back, and the Dutch Grand Prix with it. Also, Paddock Update is back. Jim Kimberley here, and Tim Kraaij is on the ground in Zandvoort. Tim, it's press conference day Thursday for the Dutch Grand Prix. It's your home race. I don't know if I need to say congratulations or something, but maybe you don't feel as useless as somebody felt before the summer break. Seems that the story what we had with Lewis Hamilton saying that he felt useless at Ferrari and him being a useless driver in Hungary, he's not particularly feeling that much better. What's the latest with Lewis Hamilton as we go into the second half of the season?
Yeah, it was quite interesting to hear today in the press moment that we had with Lewis Hamilton here in Zandvoort. Of course, he was asked a lot about his quotes in Hungary, and especially the ones after qualifying, of course, where he called himself useless and said that Ferrari should look for another driver. We asked him the question if the summer break was enough for him to recharge, to change those feelings. And the question was, there hasn't changed much. That was his first response. I must say, during his answer to the question, he turned around a little bit, that there were some positive signs within the team, that it was growing, that it was going better. But overall, he still seemed a little bit downbeat. There were more questions about this topic where he, was very short in his answers, didn't really want to go much in detail about it. Also on documents that he delivered to Ferrari, it was like, oh yeah, I don't remember about it anymore. He didn't feel much like talking. There was one question though to Lewis Hamilton. He was joking about, because it was a question from a Dutch guy asking him about the chance of rain here in Zandvoort, and that he had put money on him to finish on the podium here, because Hamilton is always good in the rain. And Lewis looked at him and he was like, "Are you a Dutch guy?" And he was like, yeah, I'm a Dutch guy. It was, oh, I'm surprised. So there was still, let's say the 2021 PTSS coming back there with the Dutch and Lewis Hamilton. But there are some Dutch fans, or at least Dutch people, who do appreciate Lewis Hamilton. So that was coming back in that session. So there was one smile from Lewis during that quote, but for the rest it was still a little bit downbeat. And of course, the first half year of his season at Ferrari hasn't been that well. He isn't that pleased with his own performance. He wants it to be better. He sees some positive things on the team improving. Now it needs to show on track that he is improving as well.
Are you one of these Dutch people who appreciate Lewis Hamilton? Because I know how that 2021 season has ended up with bitterness in the crowds and the fans and everything. But I like to think at this point that we could appreciate just how good these two drivers we've had to watch with Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, I think Lewis Hamilton, I think the 7 world titles speak for themselves. He's one of the greatest that everyone has ever seen. He's a little bit older now, of course, but especially at his peak, he was the best driver of his generation, and deserved multiple world champion. I'm still a fan. Is a big word. I'm objective journalist, so I'm not a fan of anyone. But I do rate Lewis Hamilton as driver very highly. Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, we go from Lewis Hamilton and we go from Max Verstappen, and then we're going into the vice champions. If we look at the big news that I'm going to say it broke this week, but this has been rumoured for so long, it felt like I was just glad to finally get it over and done with. But really glad to see the names back on the grid. Valtteri Bottas, Sergio Perez, Cadillac 2026 finally confirmed. You said before the summer break that the Bottas announcement was imminent. Turns out it was just before the Dutch Grand Prix. But what's your reaction? What's the reaction in the paddock? The story, of course, broke before we got back into the swing of things. We're used to seeing maybe an Alpine team principal getting sacked or a Red Bull driver getting swapped around before. This is like a positive bit of news instead.
Yeah, and one of the few bits that we got over the summer break. So we need to be happy with some news. Yeah, of course. Earlier in the year, a few months back, we already we broke the story on the fact that Valtteri Bottas had an agreement with Cadillac. So no surprise there. And Sergio Perez was already feeling imminent in the last few weeks before the announcement. So no big surprise there. We had the initial chats with them, and they felt good. It's a new team, so it makes sense to have 2 experienced drivers, 2 quick drivers as well. it feels a little bit as a missed opportunity, if you ask me, to not have at least one yeah, younger new guy that can tell a new story than the two drivers that have been in the sport for so long already. On the other hand, F1 is the pinnacle of motorsport. It's a place where you want the 22 best drivers from 2026 onwards. If the 22 best drivers are experienced one, yeah, then the experienced ones it is. So I think they've they've gone for experience. I can understand that, and I think the overall feeling in the paddock is similar. A lot of people are very happy with the fact that Checo and Valtteri are coming back. Two very highly rated drivers as well, with 10 race wins for Valtteri, 6 race wins for Checo Perez. So both are being very highly rated here over at the paddock, and I think it's a good chance for them to, yeah, restart their career over at Cadillac and try to build something new.
We think about these drivers coming in this year, like it's complete opposite. We've got these two older drivers coming for Cadillac in 2026. We had the 5, and depending on how you define it, 6, 7-ish rookies that have come in this year, like Doohan, forget almost that he was part of that crew. Do you think this is emblematic of just that missed year almost, that if we didn't have such an influx of rookies this year, that Cadillac might have taken a gamble?
Yeah, maybe it is a lack of a one standout rookie or young driver that could be pushed into that seat. Maybe that is a lack of. But I think it's also you've seen now with how many drivers have been promoted from F2 to F1 in this year and how good, yeah, relatively they do. I think it is possible to get those drivers in young. So I think there is a chance there, but I think it's dependent on the project as well. Cadillac is a completely new project, a new engine, not a new engine. They use it for one, but completely new project in terms of the team. So I think that makes it interesting to get two experienced drivers to lead the team a little bit more, guide the team in what they need. And don't forget that Checo and Valtteri have mega experience in F1 in midfield teams, but also in the top team. So they really know what they're talking about. I think that's very good to have in that team.
Let's talk about the other drivers for 2026, because it's a bit of a stagnant, silly season at the moment. There are some moves. We had the George Russell contract and Max Verstappen to Mercedes just dragging on for the first half of the season. Things calming down a little bit, but what remaining seats are we looking at? And drivers going to be looking over their shoulders a little bit. If they are, who are they going to be looking at?
Yeah, I think Yuki Tsunoda was asked a lot about his seat for next year. Of course, he's the one next to Max Verstappen. That's always the seat that is in question. Um, he was a little bit fake. He got a lot of questions. He wants to focus on his own performance, the things that he can, that he can influence. He has a management team that focus on, his seat for next year. It's no secret that his seat is under pressure. So we need to see if he will be in that seat next year and if he has a seat at all next year. We need to see that. The other more interesting seats, I would say, are at Mercedes, of course. Yeah, let's say it's a public secret that we have George Russell and Antonelli in those seats for next season. The bigger question is, when are they going to announce it and what type of deal are they going to announce? Because George Russell seems a little bit more relaxed now. And yeah, maybe that is in line with Max Verstappen being committed now to Red Bull Racing, him now, figuratively being in the driver's seat, because Mercedes has only George Russell, or George Russell is now the best driver for them to get into that seat. And now George Russell is more in control. He can decide maybe a little bit more on the length of the contract, maybe decide a little bit more on the structure as well, with Mercedes as his management doing all of his business. Yeah, maybe some things change over there. Russell was at least referring to looking at the broader picture, looking at the bigger picture of his career, looking at things outside of only the seat as well. So it's not a deal that will be announced in a few days. He spoke about weeks or months. They want to have it be good rather than quick at this moment, because there's no time pressure for either the team or the driver to announce anything quickly, because I think everyone know already that those two drivers will be in Mercedes next year. Now see what the contract will be.